everyone, welcome to our channel Knowledge Hub. Friends, subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon for the latest update. आज हम लोग डिसीजन मेकिंग का लेक्चर करने वाले हैं. डिसीजन मेकिंग जो कि आपका 17th टॉपिक है. ऑलरेडी हमने 16th टॉपिक ऑलरेडी कर लिया है. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल अगर इस क्लास की बात करते हैं रीजनिंग की, तो ये आपका 150th क्लास है. 150th क्लास है. 149 क्लासेस हम ऑलरेडी डिस्कस कर चुके हैं एंड 149 क्लास में हमने टाइप 1 डिस्कस किया था डिसीजन मेकिंग का. इस क्लास की अगर हम बात करते हैं, इससे पहले जो हमने क्लासेस किया उसमें हमने एनालॉजी डिस्कस किया है, फिर हमने क्लासिफिकेशन डिस्कस किया, देन वी हैड डन सीरीज कंप्लीशन, कोडिंग, डिकोडिंग, blood relation, puzzle test, then we had done a sequential output tracing, then we had done direction sense test here. उसके बाद हमने डिस्कस किया है लॉजिकल वेन डायग्राम, देन वी हैड डन अल्फाबेट टेस्ट एंड देन वी हैड डन नंबर रैंकिंग एंड टाइम सीक्वेंस टेस्ट. देन फिर हमने मैथमेटिकल ऑपरेशन किया है, लॉजिकल सीक्वेंस ऑफ वर्ड्स किया है, अरिथमेटिक रीजनिंग किया है. उसके बाद हमने इंसर्टिंग द मिसिंग कैरेक्टर किया है एंड जिसे हम IMC बोल रहे थे, डेटा सफिशिएंसी किया है. एंड इसके बाद हमने डिसीजन मेकिंग जो कि हम कर रहे हैं वो 17 टॉपिक है. ऑलरेडी हमने 16 टॉपिक डिस्कस कर लिया है. 17 टॉपिक का भी हम टाइप 1 डिस्कस कर चुके हैं. दिस इज द टाइप 2 वे वी विल डिस्कस दिस. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, अगर आप हमारे चैनल फर्स्ट टाइम देख रहे हो या अभी तक आपने हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है, इट्स अ ह्यूज रिक्वेस्ट कि आप हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करो सो दैट हम जो भी वीडियोस आए वो आपके पास सबसे पहले पहुंचे. एंड सेकेंडली, अगर आपको हमारा वीडियो अच्छा लगे तो प्लीज़ हमारे वीडियो को लाइक, शेयर और सब्सक्राइब करो सो दैट ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग के पास वीडियो पहुंचे और ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग इसका यूटिलाइजेशन भी कर सकें. सो नाउ विल डिस्कस 74th क्वेश्चन ऑफ द सेशन बिकॉज 73rd क्वेश्चन हम ऑलरेडी डिस्कस कर चुके हैं. Read the information given below and answer the question that follows. Following are the qualification for the applicant to the post of the lecturer in the Rohtak University. So here we will following are the qualification for the application of the post of the lecturer in the Rohtak University. The candidate must be satisfy these conditions, these criteria. The first condition is have good academic records, and the second is have at least 55% marks in an equivalent grade at master degree level in the relevant subject from an Indian university. Third will be the have knowledge of Hindi and Sanskrit up to the metric standard. Fourth is your have cleared the eligibility test for the lectureship of UGC and SIR or the similar accredited state level test. And the fifth one is have been awarded PhD degree up to 13/12/1995. And the sixth criteria they had given you who have passed UGC CSIR examination, the condition at the 4 may be waived. And the seventh is who will submit their PhD thesis up to 31st December 1997. The case may be referred to the registrar, and who are university appointed teachers through the regularly constituted selections committee before 1/6/1996 but are not PhDs. The case may be referred to the vice chancellor here. On the basis of these above condition, the information provided in each of the question decide which of the suggested courses of action should be taken against each candidate and hence choose the correct alternative here. So we'll move ahead with the question and that we'll discuss related to this only. The question we have is your 75th question of the session here, and the question is Mukul Mahajan with a good academic record and with 80% marks in the MSc and from Meerut University, he cleared up eligibility test for the lectureship of UGC in a PhD. He has the basic knowledge of Hindi up to the matric standard. The options we have is select, do not select, and none of these. According to the condition here, what they had given about the Mukul Mahajan, with reference to that, the candidate satisfy the condition of 1 as well as the condition 2 and the condition 3 as well as 4 and the 5th. So the eligibility to be the selected, hence the answer would be the option A, that will be the selected. The candidate will be the selected here. Moving ahead with another question, that is the 76th question of the session, and the question we have is Narottam Singh, a PhD in geography, has a good academic record and a knowledge of Sanskrit up to the metric standard. He has cleared up to the CSIR test here. With regard of this, the options we have is select, data inadequate, and that is do not select here. So according to the question here, clearly the condition second is missing in this particular question. This is missing, so the data is inadequate, hence the answer would be your, that is option B, that is data inadequate here. Now moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 77th question of the session here. And the question states that itself that Manu Bhargava shall submit his PhD thesis on the topic of the message coding by 25th April. He has a certified of good academic record throughout the 76% marks in the MSc mathematics. He had qualified a UGC test and is well versed in Hindi. So the options we have is none of these, data inadequate, and refer to the registrar. According to the condition, the candidate satisfy the condition first here, the second as well as the third as well as fourth and your seventh condition. So the case is to be referred to the registrar. So the answer will be the referred to the registrar here, that is option C here. Moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 78th question of the session. The question is, Ajit Mishra with 60% marks in MA Economics is a teacher appointed by the selection committee. He is not yet a PhD here, although he has a good academic record. He has qualified the UGC test for the lecturership and he studied Hindi up to BA here. The options we have is refer to the vice chancellor, data inadequate, or do not select. And according to the question here, the candidate satisfy the condition of 1 as well as condition 2 and condition 3 and 4 and of course your 8. So the case is to be referred to the vice chancellor, hence the answer will be the option A, that is referred to the vice chancellor here. Moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 79th question of the session here. And the question we have is, Raja Ramaiya with 80% marks in MA English and that also a PhD. He has had a good academic record and has qualified the SIR test. He has studied Sanskrit up to the 8th standard but does not know Hindi. According to this, the options we have is refer to registrar, do not select, or none of these. According to the condition here, the candidate satisfied the condition of 1 and 2 as well as 4 and as well as a 5th evidently, but having the studied Sanskrit upon up to the 8th standard, he does not satisfy the condition a third, where it will not satisfy the condition third. So the candidate not to be selected and has do not select will be the right answer, that is option B here for the question. Moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 80th question of the session here. If I'm talking about the question is, your Mahesh Sultan shall submit his PhD thesis by August 1997 bearing a badge of being a good student throughout. He has done his MSc securing 87% marks. He has studied both Hindi and Sanskrit up to the 12th standard and has also qualified the UGC test here. The options we have is your select as well as do not select, and that is refer to the registrar. According to the particular question, the candidate satisfied the condition of 1 as well as second and the third as well as 4 evidently. He is not a PhD but shall submit his it before the prescribed date, so that the condition 7 is satisfied for that sake, and the case is to be referred to the registrar. So the answer will be the refer to the registrar, and that will be the refer to the registrar, that is option C here. Moving ahead with another question, that is the question number 81th question of the session. The question is, read the following information carefully and answer the questions given below. This question has been asked in the bank PO question paper, and that is also an important paper reference to the competition wise if I'm talking about. Following are the conditions for the allotments of flats built by the town council in the newly developed and the city गुड़गांव. गुड़गांव में एक newly flats बन रहे हैं, उनको allot किया जा रहा है in the following conditions पे. So we'll have a conditions here as follows. The applicant must be produce a domicile certificate of that state, be employed or self-employed in the Gurgaon for a minimum of 5 years, be ready to pay the entire amount in 5 years period. The fourth condition is not to be the owner or co-owner. If spouse is owner of then it will be the co-owner of the residential accommodation in the city limits of Gurgaon. Not to be less than 35 years of age as of December 31st, 1996. In the case of the applicant who satisfy all the criteria except at one above, he referred to the president of the town council, and at except second then above, but it is ready to produce the ration card for the last 5 years, should be referred to the vice chairman of the house allotment committee, and that is at the rate say third condition it will not satisfy, but this is a freedom fighter or ex serviceman or a first relation, so that is the son, daughter, or husband or a wife, or a freedom fighter ex serviceman should be referred to the chairman of the house allotment committee, who can give concession for and that will be that is the husband, wife, or of freedom fighter and the ex-serviceman should be referred to the chairman of the House Allotment Committee, who can give the concession for the payment up to the 15 years in such cases here. Okay, so with the reference to that only, the last date for the receipt of application was December 31st, 1996. Condition set out in the terms of the age of the duration and of stay are to be fulfilled as December 31st, 1996 here. According to this, we have a based on these criteria and the information provided below, decide the course of action in each cases. You are not to be assumed anything. The cases are given to you as on 1st January 1997 here. As on the question number 82th question of the session here, the question we have is S.C. Gupta, the son of an industrialist from the other state who has set his factory in 1990, has a domicile certificate of the state. He is ready to pay the entire amount in 4 years. If required, he does not own a house in Gurgaon city limits, but his wife owns a flat in Gurgaon. His date of birth is 11 November 1960. And this option we have is do not allot plot and allot plot or refer to the president here. According to this question, the condition 4 is violated here, and that's the reason why do not allot plot. They do not allot plot, and S.C. Gupta do not allot to plot here, and the option A will be the right answer for this question here. Moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 83rd question of the session here. The question we have is Miss Swati Sen, aged 45, is a wife of an ex-serviceman. She has been staying in the rented house in Gurgaon for last 10 years. She is having a certificate of domicile of the state. She is not employed anywhere. She is ready to pay the entire amount in 10 years. The options we have is allot plot, data inadequate, or do not allot plot. Being this here also the fourth condition has been violated in this condition, so the answer will be the data inadequate here, and the option B will be the right answer for this question. Moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 84th question of the session here. And the question we have is Manmohan is 38 years old, senior clerk in the local builder office in Gurgaon. He has put in services of 13 years but still does not own a house here will that house, and he has produced domicile certificate and is ready to pay the entire amount of in 8 years, and he is a nephew of the freedom fighter Kishan Lal, who stays in the nearby village here. The options we have is data inadequate, allot plot, and do not allot plot here. According to the condition here, what the question is said, being a far relative of a freedom fighter, the candidate will not get the benefit, क्योंकि वो उन्होंने बोला है the entire amount and he is the nephew of a freedom fighter, तो ये थोड़ा दूर का रिश्ता हो गया है, इस वजह से उनको प्लॉट नहीं अलाउ करेगा, इस वजह से कि being a far relative of that freedom fighter, the candidate will not get the benefit, and that is option C will be the right answer, that is do not allot plot here. Moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 85 question of the session here is 85th question of the session is Sachin Bhalla is a young businessman domicile of a state, was born and brought up in Gurgaon. He pay the entire amount in less than 3 years. If required, he has opened his shop on his 26th birthday, that is on 23rd of February 1989. He stays with his father, but is not having any ownership right in the house owned by the father. The options we have is do not allot plot, or data inadequate. According to this, being 33 years old, the candidate does not satisfy the condition fifth, and for that sake, it do not allot plot. That is option A will be the right answer for this question here. Moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 86th question of the session here. Miss Uma Santosh is the daughter of a renowned freedom fighter from other state. She is domiciled in the state and employed in the town council of the Gurgaon for the last 6 years. She can pay the entire amount in the 5 years. She has completed 34 years as on 10th December 10, 1994. She does not own a house in Gurgaon. The options we have is do not allot plot, or data inadequate. According to this, the condition of 1, the condition 2, the condition 3, and the condition 4, and as well as the condition 5 are satisfied. So we'll go and out of with option B, and that is allot plot here. Moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 87th question of the session here. As you can see, the question we have is Miss Mahima Gupta is a domicile of the state, a married woman of 36 years who has been running a beauty parlor in the city since 4 March 1992. Her husband is employed in a nearby city, but both of them do not own a house in Gurgaon. She can pay the entire amount in 5 years. The options we have is data inadequate, allot plot, or do not allot plot. According to the condition here, having been a self-employed for less than 5 years, and the candidate does not satisfy the condition a second here, and so we'll go with option, that is the option C, that is do not allot plot here. Okay, do not allot flat here. And now moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 88th question of the session here. Here we go ahead with the 88th question of the session here. The question is Yusuf Khan is an ex-serviceman who is the native of Gurgaon. He stays in a rented house and is working in as a security officer in a factory for the last 2 years after his retirement from the army at the age of 35 years. He has a ration card issued to him recently. He is ready to pay the entire amount in the 5 years. The option is data inadequate, allot plot, and do not allot plot. According to this, the condition 4 is missing here, so the data inadequate will be the right answer, and that is option A will be the right answer for this question here. Moving ahead with another question, and that is your question, that is your 89th question of the session here. And the 89th question, we have some description criteria, so that we have to follow those criteria, and then we have to follow those criteria. According to that, we have to perform it. Study the information given below and answer the questions that follows. Following are the criteria for the promotion from grade D to E is a one institute. The employee must be a graduate with minimum 50% marks, not to be more than 45 years of age as on 10th November 1997, obtain the minimum prescribed in promotion test, that is PT here, and that is a promotion test, and that is minimum marks of part A, that is 35, and part B 25, and its aggregate will be the 70, and have at least 10 years of services in the institute, out of which at least 4 years should be the grade in grade D here. And the fifth condition, the criteria what they had given you is not have any adverse remark in the confidential report, that is CR. However, if the candidate satisfy, sixth will be the fulfills all other criteria except that at 2 and is less than 50 years, the case may be referred to the governing board here. The seventh is you fulfill all the other criteria but does not have a 4 years of services in grade D. The case is to be referred to the director, and provided the employer has obtained a 120 or more marks in the aggregate in the promotion test here, that is PT. Based on the above criteria and the information given each of the following questions, you have to decide the promotability of each cases. So we have a first this question regarding this criteria what they had given you. Kamal Ahuja joined the institute 9 years back in grade C. After 2 years, he has been promoted in grade D with 2 increment. He got 76% in his graduation and was 30 years old as now, as on 10th August 1997. He has no adverse remark in his CR. Okay, and so with regard of that, I will move ahead here, and that will be the option is not to be promoted, not to be promoted, and this is to be promoted and refer to the director here. Condition 4 is not fulfilled as the candidate has 10 years of services here. So we'll go with the option A, that is not to be promoted here. Now moving ahead with another question, and that is the question number 91 at the question of the session here. And the question we have is Archana Sabharwal, whose date of birth is 25th August 1952, is a graduate with 51% marks. There is no adverse remark in her CR, and she has obtained 40 and 30 marks in part A and part B respectively of PT. She has served the institute for 15 years and was promoted to grade D 6 years back. The options we have is not to be promoted, refer to the governing board, and refer to the director here. According to this, being more than 45 years, the condition 6 is satisfied, so we'll go with that is refer to the governing board here. So according to the particular questions, we have to answer the such questions as that this was the decision making, so you have to take decision in each and every questions here, but according to the condition criteria what they had given you, you have to answer accordingly, and that is most important in a decision making part where you are solving these questions. Moving ahead with another question, that is your question number 92th question of the session here. 92th question of the session is 30 years old Rachna Bansal has completed 11 years in the institute and was promoted to grade D 2 years back. She is graduate with 65% marks and has obtained 130 marks in the aggregate in PT with 80 marks in the part A and then 50 marks in part B. She does not have any adverse remark in the CR. The options we have is refer to the director, to be promoted, and data inadequate. According to the question, having worked in the grade D for only 2 years but having obtained 130 marks in the aggregate, that condition 7 will be the satisfied, and so we'll go with refer to the director here, that is option A here. Moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 93rd question of the session here, as you can see, and that is Arvind Kumar, who is in the grade D for the last 5 years, is a graduate with 55% marks. He joined the institute in grade C and was promoted after 5 years. He was 40 years old as on 28th April 1996 and does not have any adverse remarks in the in his CR. He has obtained 40 and 50 marks in part A and B respectively of the PT. The options A is refer to the governing board, and B is to be promoted, and C is the data inadequate. According to the condition here, where all the conditions are satisfied, so we'll go with all the conditions are satisfied, so we'll go with option B, that is to be promoted here. Moving ahead with another question, and before moving ahead with another question, you have to know one of the things कि जिनका मैथमेटिकल पार्ट थोड़ा सा वीक है रीजनिंग के कंपेयर में, जैसे कि मैथमेटिकल ऑपरेशंस एंड बहुत सारे ऐसे कैलकुलेशन पार्ट्स ऑलरेडी हम डिस्कस कर चुके हैं, बिकॉज ऑलरेडी हम 17th टॉपिक पे हैं, तो उसमें कुछ पार्ट्स बच्चों के होंगे मैथमेटिक्स थोड़ा सा लो है उनका, तो उसमें आप उतना वरी नहीं करो, आप उसमें फोकस करो। ऑफकोर्स थोड़ा बहुत तो आपको करना ही पड़ेगा, बिल्कुल मैं नहीं कह सकती कि उसको छोड़ ही दोगे, बट येस ऑफकोर्स इसमें जैसे कि कैलकुलेशन नहीं है, थोड़ा डिसीजन मेकिंग वाला है, तो इस पर अगर आप थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा कंसंट्रेट करोगे तो एट लास्ट कि अगर वहाँ पे आप कुछ लॉस करते हो तो यहाँ पे आप उसको गेन कर लोगे टू बैलेंस दैट। तो इसके लिए मैं बोल रही हूँ, बट एज ऑफ द टॉपिक्स इफ आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट, सारे ही टॉपिक्स इंपॉर्टेंट है अपनी जगह पे। 94th question of the session here. Nitin Sharma obtained 40 and 30 marks in the part A and a part B of PT respectively. He does not have any adverse remark in his CR. He has completed 15 years of services, out of which 6 years are in grade, and that is option A is refer to the dictator, to be promoted, and the data inadequate. According to the condition 1 and condition 2 are missing, so we'll go with the option that is your data inadequate, and that is option C will be the right answer here for the question here. Moving ahead with another question, and that is a question number 95 question of the session, and that is also an important question here. 95th question of the session, that is 42 years old Manish Srivastava, who has put his in 20 years of services in the institute, was promoted to grade D 3 years back. He is a science graduate with 60% marks and had obtained 80 marks in a part A and 45 marks in a part B of PT, and that is promotion test, and though there is no adverse remark in his CR, and that is option is refer to director, do not to be promoted, and refer to the governing board here. According to the condition 7 are satisfied as the candidate has worked in grade D for 3 years but obtained 125 marks in an aggregate. So we'll go with option that satisfy the condition C, condition 7, and that is that refer to the director here, and that is option A will be the right answer here for the question. Moving ahead with another question, and that is the question number 96th question of the session here. The question we have is the 96th question, that is Mohit Khurana has obtained highest marks among all the employees in the PT, that is promotion test, aggregate as well as in each part. He is a graduate with 80% marks. He was 47 years old as on 6th 9 1997, and there is no adverse remark in the CR. He has completed 10 years of services in the grade D. The options we have is refer to director, refer to governing board, and there are data inadequate. According to the condition, if I'm talking about, so here being a more than 45 years of age but less than 50 years age, the candidate satisfied the condition C, condition 6 here. For that condition 6, it will go to the governing board, and that is refer to the governing board, and that is option B will be the right answer for this question here. Moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 97th question of the session here. And the question we have is 32 years old Geeta Madhavan is an home science graduate with 52% marks. She has completed 10 years of services in the Institute of Grade D only. She has obtained 56% marks in Part A and 75% marks in aggregate in PT, and the options we have is refer to director, to be promoted, and data inadequate. The condition 5 is missing, so the answer would be the option we have is your option C, that is data inadequate here for this question. Now moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 98 question of the session here that we have to discuss. 98th question of the session, that is read the following information to answer the given question. Following are the conditions for selecting the condition for the research fellowship. The candidate must be a postgraduate with minimum 60% marks, not to be more than 30 years as on 1st September 1997, not have at least 3 years of research experience, have diploma in statistics, as well as fifth condition is have secured at least 55% marks in the entrance test as of and has finalized the topic for research. However, in the case of the candidate who fulfills all other criteria except that third above, but has a fellows degree, and that is your should be given in the fellowship, and eighth condition is fourth except fourth above should be referred to the dean, and except one above but has at least 55% marks in the post graduation, and that is 10th is except fifth above but have at least 50% marks should be referred to the chairman. Based on the criteria and the information provided below, decide the course of action in each cases. You are not to be assume anything. Their cases are given to be as on 1st September 1997 here. Moving ahead with this 99 question of the session, that is Deepak Sareen has got diploma in the statistics with 60% marks and post-graduation with 56 marks. His date of birth is 20th December 1972. He has got 1 year's research experience and is still doing his well, that he has secured 60% marks in the entrance examination and has also finalized the research topic. The option is fellowship, not to be granted, none of these, and refer to dean. The candidate does not satisfy the condition a third and a 7 here, so we'll go with fellowship, not to be granted, that is option A will be the right answer for the question here. Moving ahead with another question, that is your 100th question of the session, as well as we had completed the century for this question. After this question, the question is Ravi Waswani has got 5 years research experience and has finalized the research topic. He has got 56 percent marks in the post graduation and the 60% marks in the entrance test. His date of birth is 24th February 1970. He has also got diploma in statistics. The option is refer to chairman, none of these, and the data inadequate. According to the condition here, if I'm talking about the candidate, does not satisfy, as of I told you that it satisfy the condition. So will go ahead, that is none of these. All the conditions of the eligibility, condition 9 and instead of 1 are satisfied. The candidate should be if I'm talking about, so इसके हिसाब से अगर मैं बात करती हूँ यहाँ पे, with regard of this, if I'm talking about with this question, they refer to the chairman and none of these and the data inadequate. According to this condition, all the conditions of the eligibility in the condition 9 instead of condition 1 here, and so that the candidate should be wait listed, and that is the option B will be the right answer, because that is the none of these, क्योंकि यहाँ पे wait listed का कोई option दिया नहीं है is according to that. Moving ahead with another question, and that is the question number 101th question of the session, and the question is Surya Tripathi has secured 65% marks in the past post graduation and has served 5 years research experience. He has secured 65% marks in the entrance test and has finalized the research topic. His date of birth is 11 August 1969. The options we have is refer to chairman, none of these, and refer to the dean here. The candidate satisfied the condition 8, and according to the condition 8 we will go with refer to dean here, and that is option C will be the right answer for this question. Moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 102th question of the session here. 102th question is Anu Saxena is 28 years old and has got 65% marks in post graduation and 60% marks in MPhil, and that he has got 65% marks in the entrance examination and has finalized the topic for the research. He also had a diploma in the statistics. The option A is your grant, a fellowship, and none of these, and the data inadequate. According to the condition here, all the conditions of the eligibility are satisfied, and that is grant, a fellowship will be the right answer. That is option A will be the right answer for this question here. Moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 103 question of the session. Raj Desai is 24 years old and has got 58% marks in the entrance examination. He has secured 63% marks in his post graduation and 55% marks in the MPhil. He has got diploma in the statistics and also finalized the topic for the research. The option we have is waitlist, grant, fellowship, and refer to the chairman. According to the condition here, where all the conditions of eligibility are satisfied, as I told you, all the conditions of eligibility are satisfied, so we will go with option B, that is your grant, fellowship here as well. Moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 104, that is 104th question of the session. The question is 26 years old Ravina Sethi is a postgraduate and with 858%. She has got 4 years research experience and has finalized the topic for the research. She got 70% marks in the diploma in the statistics and 54% marks in the entrance examination. The option we have is grant, fellowship, data inadequate, and fellowship not to be granted. And all the conditions of the eligibility, if I'm talking about that what I did, but in this the candidate does not satisfy the condition 1, so that will go ahead with a fellowship not to be granted here. That is option C will be the right answer for this question. Moving ahead with another question, and that is the question number 105th question of the session, and the question we have is 26 years old Sulochana Trivedi is MPhil with 60% marks. She has secured 70% marks in the entrance examination and has finalized the topic for the research. She has also got a diploma in statistics. The option is data inadequate, grant, fellowship, and the none of these. According to this, the condition 3 is missing, so we'll go ahead with option A, that is data inadequate, and that is option A will be the right answer for this question here. So we'll this is the 105th question. Now moving ahead with another question, that is your question number 106th question of the session here. 106th question of the session, that is, read the following information to be answered the given question. This has been asked in the bank PO question paper, and that is also an important paper in respect to the competition wise if I'm talking about. So the following are the conditions for the selecting the candidates for the interview. For a recruiting of the medical representative for a company, the candidate must be satisfied, that is the first condition, that is be a graduate in a science with chemistry in the botany and the zoology, have 60% above an SSC and 50% marks and above the at graduation. The third condition is not to be more than 25 years of age as on January 1st 1997, have at least represented school or colleges in any inter-school or college competition, have passed on the selection test with 55% marks and above marks, enclose recommendations of the two persons who are not his or her relations. However, a candidate who fulfills all the other criteria except second above but has passed MSc in chemistry with 60% marks and above marks, that should be considered for the wait listing for the interview. So here with this competition and that 55% and above marks and each six, this includes recommendation of the two person who are not his or her relation. However, the accommodation fulfills all the criteria except the seventh one is second above but have passed MSc in chemistry and 60% on and above marks should be considered for wait list and for the interview, and the 8 will be the third above should be referred to the manager and administrator, and the ninth will be the except 6 above should be meet manager, that is HRD here. So for this, on the basis of this, based on these criteria, the information provided below that decide the course of the action in each of the cases. You are not to be assume anything. These cases are given to you as of December 1st 1996. So we have a question here, and the question we have: Garima Saxena, who has been recommended by the two actresses a working TV series, is of 23 years in the master degree in the chemistry. She has won prizes as acting in inter-university drama competition. She has obtained a more than 70% marks in the SSC as well as SSC, BSc Chemistry in Botany, and and selection test. The options we have: to be called for the interview, refer to the manager, administrator, to be wait list, and not to be called for the interview. With respect to that, all the conditions are eligibility are satisfied. So we'll go with option A, that is to be called for interview. Moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 108th question of the session is: Miss Pramila Chadha, born on November 19, 1974, is a postgraduate in chemistry. At graduation, she had a chemistry, zoology, and botany, and she has represented her school and college in sports and drama. Her father is a successful doctor. She has passed the selection test with 62% marks and has enclosed the recommendation of president and the vice president of the Chemists Association. The option we have is your the option A is not to be called for the interview, data inadequate, to be called for the interview, or meet manager HRD. According to this question, the condition second is missing here, so we will go through with the option that is data inadequate here for this particular question. Now moving ahead with another question, and that we have your question number 109th question of the session here, and the question we have is: Kapil Singh has done his MSc Chemistry. After his BSc Chemistry and Zoology, he has obtained more than 60% marks at SSC, BSc in selection and a test. He has enclosed good recommendation from his coaches from basketball and hockey, where he has won a few prizes for his performance in intercollegiate matches. His date of birth is 25th 11 1970. The option is to be waited list, not to be called for the interview, refer to the manager administrator, and refer to the manager HRD. When this the candidate satisfied the condition 8 instead of 3, so we will go ahead with option C, that is refer to the manager administrator. Now moving ahead with another question, that is a question number 110th question of the session here. 110th question of the session. The question we have is, Rajiv Gupta was intercollegiate tournament for table tennis in 1995 while doing his final year of BSc with chemistry and zoology. He has passed with more than 60% marks in all the examination right from the SSC and the selection test held by the company. He has enclosed two good references, one from the college principal and the another from the industrialist. His father works in a bank. So the option is data inadequate, to be waited list, to be called for the interview, or refer to the manager HRD. According to the condition, nothing about the age of the candidate is mentioned, so we will go with the option A, that is data inadequate here for the question. Now moving ahead with another question, that is the question number 111th question of the session. The question is, Ashok Rathi has represented his school and college in cricket and chess. He has passed his BSc with chemistry, physics, mathematics at the age of 20 years. In 1994, he came second in the merit list in the selection test with 78%, has an enclosed 2 recommendation. He has scored 62% and 65% in NSC and SSC and the BSc respectively. So the options we have is to be called for the interview, not to be called for the interview, to be waited list, or data inadequate. For the difference of this, if I'm talking about the candidate does not satisfy the condition 1 and he passed a BSc with chemistry, physics and math and did not have zoology, botany as a subject, so here we will gone through with the option, and that will be the not to be called for the interview, that is option B will be the right answer for this question here. Moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 112th question of the session. And the question we have is, Ved Prakash has done Bachelor in Pharmacy after BSc with Chemistry in the prizes in drama. He has been recommended by a stage artist and his Russian teacher. He has obtained more than 80% in all the examination and has stood first in the selection test. The options we have is refer to the manager HRD, to be called for the interview, refer to the manager administrator, and the data inadequate. According to the condition, the candidate does not satisfy the condition 3 here, and so condition 8 is to be applied here, and if the condition 8 will be the applied, so we'll go with refer to the manager administrator, that is option C here. We'll go ahead with another question, that is the question number 113th question of the session here. The question we have is 113th question of the session, that is, Miss Kirti Rana, a Kathak dancer who has won inter-university prizes, is a brilliant student holding the first rank in the MSc Chemistry in 1996 as well as the selection test. She has had more than 75% marks in the examination right from the SSC to BSc Chemistry and Botany. All her teachers speaks highly about her, and that is the option is data inadequate, to be waited list, and refer to the manager HRD here. And according to this condition, the condition a third is missing here, so we'll go with data inadequate here for a question. Moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 14th question of the session, that we have Ravindra Singh 22 has enclosed 2 good recommendation. He has done B.Ed after completing BSc and 65% in the physics, chemistry and botany. He has been representing his schools and college and that is you're rating at a different wrestling at a different state level competition. He has obtained 58 marks in the selection test. The options we have is refer to the manager administrator, data inadequate, not to be called for the interview, and to be waited list. Here nothing about the candidate performance in the SSC is mentioned, so we'll go with the B option, that is data inadequate for this particular question here. Moving ahead with another question, and that we have is your 115th question of the session. Here we have to discuss, and with regard of some of the criteria has been given here. As accordingly, you can see that 115th question: read the following information carefully and answer the given question given below. This has been asked in the bank view as well, and the criteria they had given you, that is, following are the conditions of the promotion from the junior officer cadre to the senior officer cadre in an organization. The candidate must be have completed at least 5 years of in the organization, have secured 65% marks in the written test for the promotion, have secured 60% marks in the group discussion. And the fourth criteria, that is the fourth condition they had mentioned here, have scored 70% marks in the interview. Have fifth is you have good record of his work performance. Sixth is have good communication skills and get along well with his colleagues. And seventh is not to be more than 40 years and less than 30 years as on 1st September 1993 here. And according to that, eighth condition we have is have good academic with an average of at least 65% marks. However, in the case of the candidate who ninth is the satisfies all the conditions except for above but has secured 75% marks in the written test and 65% marks in the group discussion, the case is to be referred to the general manager, for that is a personal, and DGM, that is personal for the discussion decisions here. And as well as the 10th condition, the criteria they had given you is your satisfy all other criteria except the 8 above but has secured on an average more than 60% marks, and this case is to be referred to the manager director, that is MD of the organization. So here with this, now read the information provided in the case of the candidate in each of the questions given below and decide on the basis of the information provided as based on the above conditions which of these courses of action you would suggest. These cases are gives to you as on 5th September 1993. You are not to be assume anything. So here we have question 116th question of the session here. 33 years old Renu had a good academic record with an average of 68% marks and has a good communication skill. She has completed 6 years in an organization. She has secured 63% marks in the group discussion, 71% marks in the interview, and 68% marks in a written test for the promotion. She gets along well with her colleagues and has good record of her work performance. Options we have is promote, do not promote, or refer to MD, that is managing director. So all the conditions of the eligibility are satisfied in this case, so that a person will be promoted here. Moving ahead with another question, that is your question number 117th, and the question we have is Pooja has completed 7 years in an organization. She is 32 years old and has a good academic record with an average of 66% marks. She has a good communication skill, get along well with her colleagues, and has good record of her work experience. She has secured 67% marks in a group discussion, 74% marks in an interview, and 60% marks in a written test for the promotions. The options we have is do not promote, data inadequate, and of course promote here. So with regard of that, the candidate does not satisfy the condition 2 here, so we will just say that is option A, that is do not promote, will be the right answer for this question here. Moving ahead with another question, that we have here is your 118th question of the session, and the questions we have here is that is Venkatesh, who is 38 years old, has a good academic record with an average of 61% marks. He has secured 65% marks in the written test for promotion, 72% marks in an interview, and 63% marks in a group discussion. He has a good communication skill and gets along well with his colleagues. He has good record of his work performance and has completed 7 years in an organization. The option we have is promote, refer to MD, and do not promote here. So with this, the candidate satisfied the condition 10 instead of a condition 8. So we'll go ahead with refer to the managing director, that is refer to the MD here. Moving ahead with another question, and that is the question number 119th question of the session that we have to discuss here. This is your 119th question of the session, that is 39 years old. Manish has secured 65% marks in the group discussion, 72% marks in an interview, and 66% marks in the written test for the promotion. He has a good academic record with an average of 62% marks and has a good communication skill as well. He gets along well with his colleagues and has good record of his work performance. He's completed 6 years in an organization. The options we have is do not promote, refer to the MD, and promote here. According to the condition, the candidate satisfied the condition 10 instead of 8. So we'll go ahead here also, that is refer to the MD here for this cake. Now moving ahead with another question, and that is your question number 120th question of the session. The question we have is 34 years old Madha has secured 60% marks in the written promotion test, 72% marks in the interview, and 69% marks in a group discussion. She has a good communication skill and gets along well with her colleagues. Her record of work performance is good, and she has completed 6.5 years in an organization. That is, the options we have is data inadequate, promote, and do not promote. With regard of that, having a since secured less than 65% marks in the written test, the candidate does not satisfy the condition second. So with this condition, that will do not promote that particular candidate. So the option C will be the right answer here for the sake of this question here. Okay, so we'll go ahead with another question, and that is your question number here, that is your 121th question of the session. And the question here we have 121th is 31 years old Sumit secured 65% of marks in the written test for promotion, 72% marks and interview, and 62% marks in the group discussion. He has good academic record with an average of 67% marks in the good communication skill. He has completed 9 years in an organization. He gets early annoyed and irritated with his colleagues, and his record of work performance is in the last 2 years is just an average here. Options we have is data inadequate, do not promote, and promote here. The candidate does not satisfy the condition 5 and 6, so we'll go with the option that is do not promote, that is option B will be the right answer for the question here. Moving ahead with the 122nd question of the session, the question we have is Savita has a good academic record with an average of 67 marks and has secured that is 69% marks in the group discussion, where 72% marks in the interview and the 70th marks in the written test for the promotion. She has completed 7 years in the organization, and she has a good record of work performances, that communication and skill, and gets along with her colleagues here. The options we have is option A is do not promote, promote, and that is data inadequate. According to the condition 7 is missing here, so the data inadequate will be the right answer. That is option C will be the right answer for this question here. Moving ahead with another question, and the last question for the session as well. The question we have is the 123rd question of the session, that is Darun has completed 6 years in an organization, and he is 34 years old and has a good academic record with an average of 68% marks. He has secured 66% marks in the group discussion, 67% marks in the interview, and 76% marks in the written test for the promotion. He has good communication skills, get along with well with his colleagues, and his work performance is also good. So the options we have is refer to the GM, that is personal, and that is promote, and that is do not promote here. According to the particular question, the candidate satisfied the condition 9 instead of condition 4 here. So we'll go ahead with the refer to the GM here, and that will be that they refer to the GM here, and that will be the right answer for this question here. Now with this we'll end up this session only, and after that I would just like to tell you one thing, okay, that in the reasoning part, if I'm talking about, so I had completed here in the reasoning there, as I told you, reasoning is divided into two parts, and that is your verbal reasoning and non-verbal reasoning as well. In the verbal reasoning case, if I'm talking about, so we had doing your 17th topic, and after that we have to do remaining 3 topics and then complete in the verbal reasoning, the part 1, they are the two divided into 2 parts, that is general mental ability and the logic reasoning. जनरल मेंटल एबिलिटी में ऑलरेडी 20 टॉपिक्स हैं, तो उसको हम ऑलरेडी 17th कर ही रहे हैं. सो होपफुली विल एंड अप इन द नेक्स्ट कमिंग क्लासेस, एंड देन आई विल स्टार्ट विद द जनरल वर्बल रीजनिंग में लॉजिक रीजनिंग को स्टार्ट करेंगे. तो इन द सेक्शन ए जो कि वर्बल रीजनिंग का है, जनरल मेंटल एबिलिटी, उसमें हमने एनालॉजी, क्लासिफिकेशन, सीरीज कंप्लीशन, कोडिंग डिकोडिंग, ब्लड रिलेशन, पर्सल टेस्ट, सीक्वेंशियल आउटपुट ट्रेसिंग, डायरेक्शन सेंस, लॉजिकल वेन डायग्राम, अल्फाबेट टेस्ट, नंबर रैंकिंग एंड टाइम सीक्वेंस टेस्ट, mathematical operation, logical sequence of words, arithmetic reasoning, inserting the missing character, data sufficiency, decision making, जो कि अभी हम कर रहे हैं. Then we start with assertions and reactions, and then assertions and reasons, situation reaction test, and the verification of the truth statement. वो हम डिस्कस करेंगे. Then we'll start with the verbal reasoning का second part, that will be the logic reasoning here. Logic reasoning की किसकी हम बात करते हैं, तो we have to discuss logic, statement argument, statement assumptions, statement cause of action, statement conclusion, deriving conclusion from the passages, theme detection, question statement, and miscellaneous of logical puzzle. Then we'll start with the non-verbal reasoning here, and with the reason to that, series, analogy, classification, analytical reasoning, mirror image, water image, embedded figure, completions of incomplete pattern, figure matrix, paper folding, paper cutting, rule detection, grouping of identical figures, cubes and dice, dot situation, constructions of squares and triangle, figure formation and analysis, and we'll discuss, the question paper. We will practice some of the question paper related to the reasoning competition they had asked you here. So we will end up with this, and hopefully it will take a long time, but yes, of course, you have to practice all the questions, as I told you, that those candidates those have weak in maths, or they don't have a clear concept in maths, so you can just gone through with the decision making, because this is not that mathematical, and you can just gone through with, you can just practice it out, and you will be, hopefully you will succeed here. And thank you, hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and give a suggestion on the comment box. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel, so that many and maximum people can get the information at once, and even though you can also enjoy the video as well, and you can utilize those video which we had done, because we had done more than 150 videos here, so this is also all important. You can just gone through with that, and you can utilize those. Thank you, hope you enjoy this video. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and give a suggestion on the comment box. Thank you.